Campaign Fall Blau is a solitaire historical war game of the German campaign to take the oil fields of Russia in 1942. Martin Melbardis designed this game and used historical photographs to help create the art in the game. When you play Campaign Fall Blau, over about an hour, you will use German generals to advance your armies into the Caucasus region and attempt to take Stalingrad and the surrounding cities. This video, sponsored by the publisher Catastrophe Games, will help you learn to play the game. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about gameplay. Also, some of the components in this prototype may differ from the final production components. Let's learn how to play Campaign Fall Blau. Separate your cards into the following decks: Generals, Campaigns, Event, and Mission cards. The type of card is shown on the back. You can set these decks to the side. Place this battle board in an easy-to-reach central location. Next, choose any 3 generals and place them on the battle board in the 3 gray slots on the front line section here. Notice how the word front line covers both the German advancement and the Soviet red side here. This is a reminder of where battle locations will be happening. For each general you placed in the front line, place cubes below them equal to the amount shown on their card. Since I chose von Kleist, Paulus, and von Salmuth, I will place 4, 5, and 6 cubes respectively. In the final production of the game, these cubes will be a grade closer to those shown on the card. Find the Voronezh campaign card and place it on the battle board here. This section is the Unlock Campaigns section of the play area. Place the remaining campaign cards here next to the Locked Campaigns section. The game mat will now be placed here to the right of the battle board. Place a yellow cube on the 0 space of the campaign progress. This is where you will chart your victory points as the game proceeds. On the supply depot, place a black cube on the 5 space. Finally, place a white cube on the Start Here space of the operational calendar. Next, take the Events deck. You can remove the 4 hard mode cards with the skull logo from this deck and shuffle it. We won't be using those for the tutorial. Place the shuffle deck face down below the game mat. You can also return the mission cards to the box, as we won't be using those for the tutorial either. You are now ready to begin playing Campaign Fall Blau. Each turn will have the following parts: 1. Adjust the calendar. 2. Ready the generals. 3. Draw 2 events cards. 4. Issue orders to the generals. And 5. Resolve local Soviet counterattacks. Let's take a look at those parts. First, adjust the calendar. When you adjust the calendar, simply move the white cube 1 space to the right or down to the farthest space left on the next month. Each month will proceed through an early, mid, and late turn. Every turn has all the previous 5 steps we mentioned repeated until you either defeat all campaign cards or your generals are all defeated. The other way the game can end is if you reach the Soviet Winter Offensive. Make sure you check for any text on cards, for example on your generals, which may direct you to an action at the beginning of each month. Next, ready your generals. You won't need to do this in the first turn, but in subsequent turns your generals will have been exhausted by taking actions and will need to be readied. This is signified by turning them horizontally 90 degrees. Simply turn them 90 degrees again to return them to readiness. Third, you will draw 2 event cards from the events deck. If you drew any cards with the stop icon, you must resolve those immediately, following the text on the card. All other cards may be played on the turn you drew them, or be saved for future turns. Your hand size is 5 cards and is shown on the battle board. Whenever you need to draw new cards and your battle board is already full, you will choose a card or cards to discard before drawing the required new cards. Fourth, you will issue an order to ready generals who are in the vertical position. As you resolve their order, exhaust the general and turn them horizontal. Generals can resolve the following orders, provided they have enough resources. They may advance by moving an unlocked campaign card from an unlocked to the front line above the general used to advance. This will generally cost 1 supply. Move the marker down on the game board. Panzer armies, shown by the tank icon, may pay an extra supply in order to deploy a second unlocked campaign card to a different empty space adjacent to the first campaign card. When they advance, immediately place red cubes on the campaign card now in the front line. Some cards will have conditions which require additional red cubes to be added. The attack order is used to attack and capture campaign cards. There are also event cards which may act in the same way as campaign cards and can also be attacked. Generals issued this order attack cards in front of them at full power or at half power to adjacent campaign cards as shown here. Most attacks cost 1 supply, but some will require an additional supply to be spent. After spending the supply, roll a number of white dice equal to the grade cube strength of the general attacking, or if adjacent, half of that number rounded up. Each 3 or higher results in the destruction of 1 red cube back to the reserve pool. If you roll any 1s, destroy one of the attacking general's gray cubes and remove it back to the reserve pool. There are also campaign cards which include the mountain or the fortress city symbols. These subtract 1 from each attacking die roll. On these cards, you need a 4 in order to remove a red cube. Additionally, 1s and 2s will remove a gray cube. When you remove all Soviet red cubes, the campaign card is captured and added to the completed campaign pile. Gain victory points on the campaign progress tracker. Finally, don't forget to add any campaign cards listed next to the unlocked icon at the bottom of the card. The third order option is to consolidate. This is how you resupply. Add a gray cube to the general's card, but no more than the starting number. Next, gain 2 supply in your supply depot. To end the turn, after all your generals are exhausted, you will resolve local Soviet counterattacks. For each campaign card in play on the front line, roll a die for each remaining Soviet cube. Any one rolled will destroy a gray cube of the corresponding general. There may also be Soviet cards in play, such as General Chaikov, which could give a bonus or a reroll to the Soviets. In addition to the 5 regular steps of a turn, you may reorganize the front line at any point. This will cost 1 supply. In doing so, you allow the particular strengths of generals to help you defeat campaign cards and earn you those victory points. Essentially, this is a free action besides the supply, which allows flexibility during the game. As you gain your event cards at the beginning of each turn, watch out for a stop sign icon, which requires cards to immediately be played. Additionally, cards may have the pushpin icon in the middle left. This indicates that the card will stay in play and affect gameplay. Whenever the event deck runs out, you must exhaust 1 general of your choosing before reshuffling all discarded event cards and forming the new event deck. Throughout the game, a few things may happen that will make your campaign more difficult. If you have encountered a major Soviet counterattack, you will resolve this card immediately. These cards go into the front line into an empty space. If there are multiple empty spaces, you will place it in front of the general with the least amount of cubes. In the cases where there is a tie on empty spaces and cubes, you decide where to place the major Soviet counterattack. If there are no empty spaces, find the general with the lowest cubes and deploy it above the current campaign card in that slot. Immediately resolve the counterattack as normal, then leave the red cubes from the card on the campaign card it was on, while you discard the counterattack card. Effectively, you've made it possible for the Soviets to launch this counterattack again later in the game. Once you have resolved the counterattack that is alone in the space, the event card will act like a campaign card, including rewarding you with victory points once you have captured the card. If you ever happen to lose all gray cubes on a general, that general and their entire army is wiped out. Remove the card from the game. This will cause you to lose 2 victory points at the end of the game. Set the general next to the campaign progress to remind you of this loss. Any campaign cards facing this general will remain in the same space. This general won't be replaced in the game. Remember, your goal in the game is to gain 27 or more victory points. These points will always be indicated in the top left circle of campaign or event cards with laurel leaves surrounding them. As you progress the yellow cube on the campaign progress track, you might end a movement on a space with a red circle and a star. If the tracker ends here after adding victory points, immediately add 2 red cubes to the campaign card on the front lines worth the most victory points. In the case of a tie, you choose where to place these 2 red cubes on a single card. These reinforcements won't matter if you have no campaign or event cards currently on the front line. The game will end when either all campaign cards have been captured or the white operational calendar cube is on the Soviet Winter Offensive space. If you place the cube on the Soviet Winter Offensive, the game ends immediately and no turn is taken. Don't forget to subtract points for any defeated generals. Check to see if you have achieved victory by getting at least 27 points. With at least 30 points, you achieve a brilliant victory and change the course of history. You've just learned how to play Campaign Fall Blau, a solitaire game of World War II history designed by Martin Melbardis and published by Catastrophe Games. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and happy gaming.